Hey folks, this is Vince with Dad's Gaming Addiction, and today we're going to check out Letter Tycoon. It's for 2 to 5 players for ages 8 and up, with the average playtime being about 30 to 45 minutes. So, like most Tycoons that you may have played, I'm a big Tycoon fan. I play a lot of them on the computer. I just love managing a company and running it into the ground a few dozen times before I figure out how to actually succeed. Well, in this game, you are in charge of your own letter empire. And basically, you're going to be spelling words in order to get money and stocks, and the player with the most money and the most stocks at the end of the game will win. Well, what makes this game unique, and because, you know, there are other games that do that, you've got, like, Word on the Street, for example. Players will be trying to form words in order to capture letters, and they can win the game that way. But what makes this game unique is that players can actually buy patents on individual letters, like the letter S or the letter E or whatever. And then the other players have to pay the owner of that patent every time they use that letter. But it's a pretty interesting concept. Let's just take a quick look at the components and see how the game is played. Okay, so here's a quick look at your components and game setup. The first thing that you're going to want to do is take this letter factory deck, shuffle it up real good, and each player will take turns putting cuts into the deck and revealing whatever card comes up. And then the player with the card closest to Z will end up going first, and will get this first player token, which looks like a Zeppelin. After that, the deck is reshuffled, and then 3 are dealt face up to form the community pool. Basically, players can use these cards in order to form words. Each player also receives a hand of 6 cards that only they can see. Each player also gets one of these score cards, which is sort of just a guide. And then on the very back, you can actually see the letter frequencies. So the letter A comes up 9 times. The letter E comes up 12 times. This will help you whenever you decide on whether or not you want to buy a particular patent. Speaking of patent, you'll lay them out from A to Z, whatever order you want, it doesn't matter, so as long as everyone can see the different patents. And then also you're going to want to come to an agreement on what goal you want to set. The default value for a 2-player game, for example, is 45. However, if you want to play a shorter game or a longer game, you can increase or decrease the point limit appropriately. Okay, now before we begin, I just want to quickly show you some of the stuff that I didn't bring out. I left some of it in the box. You've got these coins here. Players don't start with any coins, but here's $1, and then I do believe this is a $3. There you go. There's the rest of the player goals here, so if you're playing a 3-player game, for example, or if you're playing a 5-player game. So again, you're going to want to take the appropriate card out depending on how many people are playing the game. I have some extra guide cards in here, and then these are your stock tokens. You've got a $3 one here, and a $1 one here. Okay, so on a typical turn, a player can do one of 2 things. They can discard any number of cards from their hand, put it into the discard pile, and then draw that many in order to replace it. It's basically if you can't form a word and you really are left with nothing. Sort of like in Scrabble when you just can't think of anything based on what you have. So you can refresh your hand via discarding and drawing. The other thing that you can do is form a word. And 1 card has to come from your hand. So let's just quickly take a look at what we have here. IRTPNAE. Okay, well, I have like 3 seconds to think, so B, brat. Okay, brat works. We've got B, R, A. I probably could have come up with something better than that, but there you go. Like brain, I could have done brain. Let's do brain. B-R-A-I-N. That fits. Okay. So, again, at least one card has to come from your hand. You just can't use the cards that are in the community pool. But you can use the community pool as you need to. Now, at this point, you earn so much money based on the length of your word. If you take a look at the scoring here, for 5 letters, it's $3. Now, I don't earn any stocks for that. Now, I do earn stocks if I'd created a 6-letter word or a 7-letter word. Now, stocks, just as a quick FYI, cannot be spent during the game. It can only be accounted for at the end of the game when you're counting up your final score. So money can be used to buy patents, which I'll get to in a minute, whereas stocks are just accumulated for endgame scoring. Okay. So based on this, I get $3. So I can go ahead and take one of those. And then at that point, if anyone around the table owned the letter B, R, A, I, or N via these patents up here, I would have to pay them royalties of $1. So if someone owned the B patent, for example, I'd pay that player $1. Okay? After that, I have the option of buying a patent, but I can only buy a patent on a letter that I've used. So on this turn, I could only use I can only buy the letter B, the letter R, the letter A, the letter I, or the letter N. And the cost is located on the bottom left-hand corner of these cards. So the letter B here has a number, or a $2 there, and then there's $2 here. It's just matching. These letters match. So I'm going to take a look at these and say, you know what, I really like the B. I mean, granted, not too many people use it, but it's only $2, and anyone that uses a B in the future will have to pay me money. On top of that, some of these ones, like the letter K and J, Q, V, X, Z, the less common ones, they have special abilities on the very bottom. The one that is associated with B, earn double if your word begins and ends in vowels. So, I would actually earn more money if I can manage to follow these rules. So some of these patents actually come with special abilities that can change the way you might come up with words. J, earn double if vowels are at least half of your word. K, earn double if your word has only one vowel. Q, you may replace a card to start your turn. So that's pretty cool. So after I buy this patent, which I'm going to do, I have to pay from this. I get one back. There you go. And then after that, I simply discard all of the cards I used, like so. And then I want to refresh the community pool. And then I want to draw back up to 7 cards. So I need 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then that would conclude my turn. And that's pretty much all there is to it. Players will continue taking turns spelling out words, earning money and stocks, and then spending that money to buy patents. When someone gets enough patents to where their combined value reaches the goal number over here, that'll trigger the end of the game. Then each player will want to make sure that they get an equal number of turns. So let's just say that I'm playing a 4-player game and the player across from me here was the one that satisfied that goal. Well, then only this player over here would get to take a final turn. The rest of us, me and the person off to my left, had already gone before this player had satisfied the victory condition. So it's after everyone has had an equal number of turns, they'll go ahead and add up how much they have here, their patent value, then add in any extra coins or stocks that they may have, and the person with the most money at the end of the game will win. Alright, so there you have it, a very brief look at Letter Tycoon. It's important to stress that I did not cover all of the rules found in the manual. This was just to give you a general overview so that you could see how the game is played. For example, there's a challenge rule in the rulebook. Most of these word games have some type of challenge rule where if the other player makes up a word that doesn't make any sense, they can be challenged on it. There's also some rules regarding what words are illegal and which ones aren't. But if you're playing in like a family setting, feel free to tweak those rules any way you want to. And of course, like I said earlier, you can tweak the goal amount to be shorter or longer. You know, if you want to play like a 20-minute game or whatever, then make the goal less, like 10 points less or something like that. Or if you want to play over the long haul, maybe something a little longer. So yeah, Letter Tycoon, I really like this game. Not only does it promote spelling and all that jazz, but it adds a business twist to it, which definitely sets it apart from other word games that I've played. Like I play a lot of Bookworm Deluxe on the computer. Letter Quest is another game I play on the computer. So I play a lot of word games on the computer, but none of them really involve the buying of letters. Like, that's really cool. I like that idea. I just think it's brilliant. And I also like the fact that these some of these lesser used letters have special abilities, making them more viable. I mean, granted, they only cost $2, but how often do you use the letter Z or Q in the words that you're forming here? Most people would just shy away from them. But having these special abilities tied to these letters will give you a reason to actually use them. And you only have to use them the one time in order to be able to buy the patent. After that, I mean, the goal to satisfy their ability is a little different. Just because you bought the letter Z doesn't mean you have to keep using the letter Z. You can add an S to the end of your word. So basically it gave you a special ability, and now you can automatically add an S to the end of a word just for using that Z once. So yeah, I think this game is great. Definitely recommend it. The price is a little high for me. I think the price on the official website was $35 or so. Don't quote me on that because I'm going off of memory and I'm old and I forget. But I do remember that it was higher than usual. So $35 for this kind of game, I expected it to be somewhere in the $20 to $25 range. The components are good, yes, I will admit to that. It's not like these are flimsy cards. The tokens are nice. I mean, they're pretty. I mean, they're not splendor heavy, but they're pretty solid. So yeah, the components are of good stock, so that might account for the higher than normal price. But yeah, if you can afford to pick up this game, I do recommend that you do. So if you guys want to, check out my official review on my website, www.dadsgamingaddiction.com. If you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel. That way you can keep up to date with any new content I happen to publish. This is Vince, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.